If you are experiencing foundation issues, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
And we're joined this morning by head football coach and athletic director Matt Griffith at Sylacauga High School. I noticed your numbers weren't on that. Well, you're not in the SEC, but you're right up there with the big guys.
Oh, yeah, that's $6.6 million. I keep looking for that grass cutting supplement real quick.
It's on the way, man. It's on the way. Welcome this morning, and tough, hard-fought win over Childersburg last week in Childersburg.
Yeah, listen, it was the way the Childersburg-Sylacauga game has always been. It was the way it used to be, and it was just one of those things. We took the opening drive right down there. I think that's the second drive. I can't remember. And just, for 2 drives out of 3 drives, we looked really good, really crisp. And then, Childersburg.
There's the second one.
There's the second one right here with Ridgeway. Made a great run. And
good balance there.
Then the rest of the game, it was a story of getting the ball inside the 30 and shooting ourselves in the foot. Now, Childersburg, that's their catcher. He's a tremendous player and quarterback. Number 10. Did a phenomenal job for Childersburg. They've got some really good players. Number 1 right here is a 6'2", 190 running back. And other than that run, we did a good job of bottling him up, but he's a very good football player as well.
13 to 8 at halftime, I think
13 to 8 at halftime, and then it just became a slugfest. Dalen took a shot right there. We had to play JD the next series. This is, I think, late in the game. And we just get beat, and then we need to get a stop right here. We're very fortunate to get this kid down. And
you're down inside the 10-yard line here.
And, defense comes up with a turnover.
Yep, there it is.
And, it's just one of in a hard-fought football game, turnovers and mistakes in your kicking game kill you. And it just always comes down to that. When 2 teams are really going at it and the game's close, it's going to come down to who makes a mistake.
They had some big plays, but you look back and there's penalty flags on the ground.
Yeah, it just seemed that way. I mean, we had about 4 to 5 runs of 25 yards or more that were key things. And they get called back for holding. And I will say this about officials can call holding anytime they want to. The biggest thing is call it on both sides. If you're going to call holding, you're going to call that for holding, call it on both teams, and I have no problem with it because I do know. Listen, kids hold every play. They can't help themselves, and they do it on both sides. Biggest thing is you don't want to influence the game as an official. You want to let kids decide the game. And but one thing we've got to do is we're a good football team. We can be a good offensive team. It's a different team. It's not an explosive team, but we got to quit getting inside the 30 and snapping the ball on the ground or snapping it over your head or jumping off sides and going from 3rd and 3 to 3rd and 8. And, we're still doing those things. And I said, well, maybe as the season goes on, we'll grow up. Well, we're in game 7 now. We've replaced some kids again. We've got a whole different lineup, some up front. And just kids have to quit making those mental errors. And when they do, we'll score more points.
Coach Matt Griffith, head football coach and athletic director at Sylacauga High School. The Aggies improve on the season record, back in the top 10, and after an exodus earlier in the season, and went over Childersburg. It was a slugfest, a lot of hard hitting by both teams.
Yeah, I thought so too, and you have to give hats off to Childersburg and Coach Beverly. He's got very good athletes out, but the biggest thing that I can see in the difference from last year and this year, he's got his baseball players playing too, and they're very disciplined. They're much better. His 2 defensive ends were as good as we faced. And we even talked about when a kid misses a play, that kid's getting up off the ground and hustling to try to make a tackle. And we've not seen that in the last 3 or 4 years out of Childersburg. And that's a hats off to their coaching staff. So, and I'll say this, you can't turn a program around without multi-sport athletes, especially at that size school, our size school. We will start losing if kids decide just to play one sport. You have to have those multi-sport kids. Coach Beverly's done a good job of getting those out.
It seems in the last several games that teams have attacked your secondary, trying the deep ball.
Sure.
How do you adjust to that?
Well, the biggest thing, and that's what I would do to us as an offensive guy as well, is because our front 4 defensively and Mike linebacker are as good as we've had at this school in a long time. People are having a very, very difficult time running the football on us. I've got a sophomore corner and I've got a junior corner that are playing for the first time. Everybody knew that we were without our free safety for the last 2 weeks, who's an older kid that's been doing it a long time. I've got a freshman strong safety. So we had a sophomore free safety. So that's exactly the way you needed to attack us these last 2 games. Thank good we've got DeMarco back this week. You know, and the biggest thing with the sophomore corner and the junior corners, boy, they keep getting better. You know, they keep getting better. And you're going to see it, you know, that sophomore corner is 5'5", 5'6". You're going to see people attack him with a 6'1", 6'2" receiver. And it's one of those things that we'll bracket that to give him a little protection. And then it's one-on-one with a junior corner that's got a little bit more experience, a little bit bigger kid. And, you know, but I love our secondary because besides DeMarco, they're all back. We were looking at defensive team. We've got 8 to 9 starters back defensively next year. That team will continue to grow and get good. And so, you know, it's the sky's the limit for that group of kids.
Your linebackers are so active on the defensive side of the football. I
love it. Listen, you know, last year, that was the critical point of our defense. You know, if people were criticizing, they were all sophomores. Chase Ivey was a sophomore. Torrey Harris was a sophomore. Mitch Holtzcloth, who's been hurt for 2 weeks, was a sophomore last year. You know, we were playing Rusty Kraft some. He was a junior. Now he's a senior.
He's really picked it up.
Yeah, he had a great game, and they're just all playing well now that they have a year's experience. And we know that as coaches, you wish fans in the stands would look at the program and go, he's a sophomore. He's not going to get anything but better. You know, if he's playing a sophomore, then he's the best he's got. That kid's just got to grow up. So we went through some growing pains defensively, and thank goodness we were so explosive offensively last year that it allowed us to win games. Well, this year we're not near as explosive, but the defense is so much better. So our theory of how we're winning games has changed. We're being much more conservative offensively. We're letting our defense play, and we're playing field position so that we give our kids a chance to win in the end.
Sylacauga 5-1 on the season, takes on St. Clair County. We'll talk with Coach Griffith about the Saints when we come back as the Collier Motors Coach Matt Griffith Show continues.
Hot under the collar because your basement is full of water? Call a local company you can trust. Ox Foundation Solutions. We use the most advanced water management system to stop water from invading your basement for good. Things feeling a little uneven at home? Ox Foundation Solutions will fix your uneven concrete sidewalk, driveway, or basement in no time. Ox Foundation Solutions has the best plan to keep your home safe. If you are experiencing any issues with your sidewalks, basement, crawl space, or foundation, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
We believe everybody should have a great night's sleep. That's why you have to check out our Scott Living mattress collection today. Quality, comfort, and a lot of Z's. Dream big.
Introducing Scott Living Mattresses. For a limited time, save up to $1,000 on any Scott Living mattress set, plus 24-month special financing when you buy a Scott Living mattress set. Now is the best time to save up to $1,000 on a Scott Living mattress set.
Come in today to check out these and many more great deals. King's Mattress Outlet, Sylacauga.
We continue with Coach Matt Griffith this morning, brought to you by Collier Motors. St. Clair Saints are the opponent tomorrow night, 1-4. But you say that record is deceiving.
It's very deceiving. I mean, you watch film on them playing center point. You watch film on them playing Mortimer Jordan. Nobody scored more than 1 or 2 touchdowns against their defense. And you say, well, Coach, they're getting beat 28-3, or they're getting beat this, but they're getting a punt blocked, or they're throwing a pick for a pick six, or they played center point. They drove the ball down 4 times inside the 20 and got no points. They threw a pick six, a 103-yard interception against center point. They had a punt block. They had a fumble picked up for a touchdown. And so they're shooting themselves in the foot with some mistakes, but they're a good team. They from 20 to 20, they dink you to death with their spread offense. And it's a good coach. Coach Glover has been there for a couple of years, but Coach Glover and I had wars when he was at Moody. Then he went to Pinson Valley, and we had 2 back-to-back war games when Pinson Valley was in our region before they went 6A. Now Coach Glover's at St. Clair County. He's been coaching a long time. He knows what he's doing. They'll be very prepared. The biggest thing we've got to do is continue to get better offensively. I'm worried defensively because I don't think he can run the football really well against us, but that's not what he wants to do. He wants to spread us out, and he wants to throw the football, and we've got to have a big night with our secondary.
As you mentioned early on, Sylacauga for the last number of years has scored a lot of points offensively.
Sure.
This year, different team. How concerned are you with the defense like St. Clair is going to bring? How concerned are you that we got to put some points on the board?
Well, there's no doubt. We've got to put, but you put points on the board in a different way than people think. The home runs will come as you move chains. Mm-hmm. What you've got to do is you've got to continue to get first downs in a drive, and then eventually a kid will break one. That's how you get the big plays, or you find them unsound somewhere. What we're not being able to do right now is we're knocking out first downs to the 20 and then making mistakes, and the home runs aren't coming. So we've got to eliminate those mistakes. We've got to eliminate flinching, jumping off sides. Making a 35-yard run down to the 10, and you held backside, and it didn't even affect the play.
Didn't even count there.
Didn't it? You shouldn't. Don't hold. Don't block behind the play.
How do you teach that though to
it's film
young
work.
guys?
It's just you're watching film, and say you see yourself. You can't do that. But I'm telling you, we have preached not blocking behind a play in so long. We had a senior 2 years ago that I absolutely love. He started as a freshman. One time he sprinted and dove at a kid to hit him in the back while I running back. And I said, we've taught you for 4 years. He said, Coach, I don't know what I was thinking. They're 16, 17-year-old kids. They still make mistakes, but somewhere down the line, we got to get more disciplined offensively so that these things don't happen. If we'll do those things Friday night and drive the football, we should be okay.
You're getting a couple of guys back that's been missing for a few weeks too.
Yeah, DeMarco Campbell will be back this week, and Lou Dale will be back this week. We're still holding Tyler Culpepper out at a tackle. He's got a bruise on his ACL, which thank goodness it didn't tear, nothing wrong with it. But we're giving that 2 weeks of rehab so that he should be full speed next week with a brace. And then by next week, we will be totally healthy, hopefully. But this week, we do get some teeth. I mean, DeMarco coming back and Lou coming back are both big because they can play a lot of different positions.
Been a hot week of practice, too.
Yeah, listen, is this not the summer that won't end? I mean, these poor kids, I'm telling you, thank goodness we're so used to it now that it doesn't bother them at all. But you're going out there, it's still in the mid to high 80s, almost early 90s. And we're in October.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody will be glad if we ever get a true fall, so we get a break from the weather.
I saw yesterday in closing where Coach Saban chastised his student section for not showing up at the Tides football games. It was an 11 o'clock kickoff, but Sylacauga, these fans show up.
Oh, there's no doubt. And listen, our student body is phenomenal. And the great thing about Sylacauga is this. When it's football, every single student body's there for football. And as soon as football's over, come to a basketball game and watch our student body. And then after basketball, watch our student body come to a soccer home game or a baseball home game. It doesn't matter what our kids are playing. Our student body's there. And I like the point that all sports are so well liked, and our fans are that way. We just roll from one sport to the other in support. It's a very special place, and I hope people realize what a special place that we have.
All right, Sylacauga hosting St. Clair Saints tomorrow night, kick at 7 o'clock. Coach, thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.
More Daybreak right after this.